Welcome back, gang. It's Deltia from DeltiasGaming.com, and I'm back with a Destiny 2 class guide, specifically for newer players or someone looking to jump into Destiny 2 for the first time or waiting PC. Which class to play and why. So this guide and this series, Destiny in Detail, will be dedicated to newer players looking for basic information. As I learn the game and become more proficient, well, we're going to get into more details. So first things first, how do the classes work and which one should you pick? Okay, here are my 3 characters that I've leveled. I haven't spent that much time in the game, but I have unlocked all of the subclasses, which each of the 3 characters have 3 subclasses or specs. Now, briefly going over these. Titan seems to be kind of like your Dragon Knight if you're coming from the Elder Scrolls Online. It's pretty tanky, but it does have a lot of offensive capability. Warlock's kind of your spellcaster slash healer. It feels like a Templar to me from Elder Scrolls Online, and I love it. Hunter, it's obviously stealthy, sneaky, fast, and really, really good, though it's pretty hard for newer players like me or someone who sucks at aiming, because it's really dependent on that. While whatever class you pick, they kind of have the same flow. Basically, you're going to have a grenade, you're going to have a melee ability, and you're going to have a static ability, all of which are on a cooldown. So they all have some unique thing they add, but they also fit a similar archetype, which makes the game pretty balanced. There isn't one that goes, oh man, this is way, way better. So I like that, but there's also not as much wiggle room in terms of specs. So let's get to each one, starting with the Titan first. Okay, so the first class up, we have the Titan, similar to, like I said, the Dragon Knight. It's kind of tanky, kind of offense, and there's basically 3 abilities plus a super, right? So your first ability is a grenade. Obviously has different effects. I'm in the flame tree right now, so I have good damage sustained over time. You also have a barricade. Very, very useful both in PvE and PvP. We'll get to the specs that change that. And then you have a melee ability as well, which can be really offensive bound or defensive bound. And then your super. So let's go over each of these archetypes in detail and what I found interesting about them all. First one we're going to go over here is Sunbreaker. I have a cool little chest piece exotic that greatly reduces the cooldown of my abilities as long as I lead the super charge. I've played around with this and I like the Hammer of Soul. It's the super, I think, one of the strongest. And the reason why is you throw your hammer, so if a mob or enemy is jumped up in the air, you can still increase your damage. Remember, these don't last forever. Another thing that's interesting about it is it's AoE and you get some sunspots as well, making it really, really productive. So on each of the classes, you have a choice with your barricade. That's your static ability. Creates a large barrier with cover, or creates a small barrier that allows you to aim, and guess what? Instantaneously reloads. This is really powerful to combine with something like Sweet Business that takes a long reload time. So it's very offensive oriented, which this one is defensive. Great for PvP if you're going to stop a push, because if an enemy comes inside your barrier, they're going to do damage, they're going to be slowed. It's going to be very easy to kill them. So this is a static ability. All the trees, fantastic. You have your typical grenade, sets enemies on fire, burning line of flames, and then attaches and deals bonus damage. So the grenades are pretty similar in every class, and then you have your jump. So the Titan jump, thankfully, is really good, unlike the Warlock. Now, out of the 2 choices that you get under Sunbreaker, I go with Code of the Siegebreaker for now. Strike an enemy with a melee ability for a solar explosion, setting nearby enemies on fire. So this is nice, AoE clearing trash mobs. Next thing up, solar abilities kill, restore your health. So if I'm playing solo, that's really advantageous for me because I can just blow through mobs, doing AoE damage and restoring my health. Plus it leaves a sunspot. The sunspot is nice because AoE damage and it regenerates. Sun Warrior, standing in the sunspot, recharges your abilities faster, and your super lasts longer. So as long as you're killing stuff, sitting in them sunspots, your grenade, your melee ability, and your barricade will come off cooldown faster. Very powerful. And then hammers, using your super, creates a sunspot on impact, so damage, and you can sit in there, and you can throw hammers faster, more damage. I like this because of the healing aspect, and that's why I picked this one. Now up here is the more group focused one. So while sprinting, you have to use your melee ability. That's a little tricky to get used to, but the other striker one is really good for that. It weakens enemies. That's useful. Solar ability kills grant you and your nearby allies bonus movement and reload speed. Reload speed equals more damage. Movement speed, great for PvE and PvP. It's awesome group centered. Enemies killed by Hammer of Soul explode. AoE damage, love that. Hammers shatter into explosive molten embers on impact. So one a little more group focused, one a little more solo focused. As you can see, it's a linear progression in these classes, so you can't like just pick one up here, one down there. It's all or none. But they do have some balancing, so I do give them that. The next one up is Striker. This is what I play solo, okay? I love it, love it, love it. The Fist of Havoc is the super, and you slam into the ground doing tons of AoE single target damage, though you will have to jump and hit a boss, which is the only downside I see with this. So I go with the instant reload here on my rally barricade, and I go with the grenade periodic damages inside the explosion radius, and here's why. Code of the Earth Shatterer is a spec that I go with, and this is the melee ability. You have to sprint to use it, so it's pretty tricky. Usually you're going to use this on trash mobs. What makes it useful is that you damage enemies with the seismic strike, recharges your grenades. So I say grenades as in plural because this gets 2. So with that grenade that just periodically deals damage inside the radius, 2 grenades, and the ability to proc this frequently and get them back more quickly, this is my offensive juggernaut. I love this AoE spec for clearing out trash. Fist of Havoc leaves a damage dealing field in its wake. More damage the longer it's in the air. So this is the grenade focus spec and what I use playing solo if I'm going to go do public dungeons by myself. The Code of the Juggernaut is more solo friendly, so striking an enemy with melee ability reloads your weapon and increases your weapon stability. That's really useful both offensively and defensively. Melee kills immediately trigger health regeneration, so if you're looking for more defensive, the Juggernaut would be a little bit better. Critically wounding an enemy or breaking their shields increases your melee range and damage. Could be great for PvP, so that melee range is critical for not trading kills, but getting that one up on someone else. Destroying enemy with Fist of Havoc extends its duration, making the super really, really useful. So this is a great spec for those, I mean, all around. The reason I like this more is just because I love the grenades, because I can't aim very well. The Sentinel is kind of more of the defensive-oriented subclass, and it is strong. Your super turns you into Captain America. It's awesome, and it gives you a shield throw. Another advantage that it gives you is that you can like basically hold down L2 and then shield your allies. This is the spec that I play, Code of the Protector. The reason I play Code of the Protector, it's really centered on group play. So if I'm going to go do a strike, nightfall, or a raid or something, I use this. Killing an enemy with a melee ability, create an overshield around you and your nearby allies. It's not necessarily a heal, but it puts a huge big old bar. Think of it like as an extra shield, making it really group utility oriented. Melee kills restore health for you and nearby allies. So when I was leveling up and I came from the PC to PS4, I sucked. My shooting is garbage, and it still is. So this allowed me to play the game pretty easy mode after I think level 12 or so, because of this specific ability. So I would just basically run in there and melee everything until a boss came. Turn the tide. Your overshield and defensive strike lasts longer and increases your melee damage and reload speed. This lasts a long time, so it's just really melee friendly. Now, that's not always going to work in, like, let's say PvP, but for PvE, solo play, learning the game, you really can't beat this spec. Ward of the Dawn. When you use your super, creating a shield dome to protect you and your allies. So that's really, really useful. Just hold down that shield, protect everybody, and it makes you really almost invulnerable for a while. So I really recommend this Sentinel for newer players. Titan, you can't beat it. Code of the Aggressor is extremely powerful. After sprinting for a short time, use this ability to unleash Shield Blast that disorients enemies. So if you want to sprint, YOLO charge, and especially in PvP disorient them, having an awesome devastating effect, you can't beat it. Grenade kills recharge your grenade energy. So basically if you throw a grenade into a huge group of mobs, it's instantly recharged. Very, very powerful. in the trenches, kills while surrounded by enemies reduces the cooldown of your super. So you're going to get it more frequently using the aggressor spec. And it's going to grant an additional shield throw charge while in Sentinel shield form. So that Captain America shield throw, you're going to get another one. So it's going to be more offensively bound, more geared, but it still has a powerful punch defensively. So for me, leveling, playing solo, I love Court of the Protector. If I get into PvP, the aggressor. Welcome to the Warlock, my favorite of the three classes. I can't say enough about it. It reminds me of my Templar. It has the ability to heal. It has the ability to self-heal on top of that in a couple different ways. And all three of the subclasses is unique, fun, and very, very powerful. So Voidwalker is the one that has Nova Bomb. And Nova Bomb is your super. It just shoots this humongous ball and nukes everything. It's awesome for PvP. The structure of this class is essentially you have a rift. It adds one of two things. Continuous heals, amazing for self and group. But also increased weapon damage, so you get to pick one or the other. So I can see in raids having at least two Warlocks, one that can heal, one that can increase weapon damage for those that are inside. Their grenades are also powerful. Some of them summon and seek out people. So PvP, this would be an awesome grenade to use, though the jump sucks. I hate jumping on the Warlock. It's like Mario Brothers on hard mode. I suck at it. I hate it. So this down here, Attunement of Hunger, is absolutely freakishly powerful for solo play. Strike an enemy with a melee ability to recharge your health, regenerate your health. And so for a short time afterwards, kills restore additional health. The thing is, the thing is that once you get this leveled up, Devour, while Devour is active, killing enemies extend this. So essentially, while your Devour is active, if you're killing adds, whether it's a melee attack or not, it extends this like heal to full type concept. So it's basically about 9 seconds, 10 seconds to where you have to kill something. Well, that's not a problem in the middle of a fight. So not only are you getting health back, you're recharging your grenades, and then you can consume a grenade if you're in trouble to regenerate your health. It's like a health magnet machine monster. It's like tankier than my Titan for some reason. Nova Bomb creates a singularity which continually damages enemies trapped inside. That's awesome. So what Nova is really good for is that instant burst damage, right? You shoot it, it shoots out, whether it's up, down, whatever. Huge AoE damage, blast stuff. But it's not as much sustained damage, though this helps it. I haven't really played with the Attunement of Chaos, since this one is just so strong, but it does have some interesting things. Strike an enemy with melee ability to drain your enemy's life force and use it to recharge your grenade. Look, more grenades, faster grenades, the more damage, right? Draw power from your super to overcharge your grenade so you can make awesome grenade damage, but you're stealing away from your super. Void abilities kills cause enemies to explode. Great AoE. Nova Bomb seeks out enemies. So that could be interesting PvP when you shoot it if you suck at aiming like I do. So I suck at aiming, but man, I can melee people. That's why I love the Voidwalker. The other two specs, you got DAWNBLADE, which is really interesting. Essentially Daybreak. This thing is your super, and you pull out the, I don't know, flaming sword of death and just destroy people. Has the same basic concept with the healing rift or that, and the grenades are useful as well. But what I like is striking an enemy just to burn them, temporarily increasing your movement and reload speed. So once you use this melee, you're reloading essentially more damage. Now, this gets kind of weird with some of the stuff where like bonusing to jumping in the air, but that's where the Warlock shines. It's not the vertical jump, but just gliding in the air. So engage your enemies mid-flight, throw fire, and throw grenades while gliding. Airborne kills, recharge your grenade in melee. So casting Daybreak instantly refills all of your abilities. The interesting thing is you need to actually practice just kind of flying in the air. It's kind of weird, but refreshing grenades equals more damage. And then when you want to throw both of those things, use your melee ability, then cast your Daybreak. The recharge rate on your grenade is freaky. And then you also get some mobility to dodge in midair, since you will be in midair a lot if you're playing this optimally. So the focus of the bottom spec here is mainly that Daybreak kills with it extend its duration. So I can see this being really, really useful in PvE where you just need to burn down something, or you're killing a bunch of extra mobs, just kind of refreshing it. And then also it allows you to restore health while you're up in the air. So if you want to play the spec where you're jumping around, hovering all the time, that gives you some defensive ability. But I really like the top spec because it's just so offensive bound. Okay, Stormcaller. Oh my gosh, I feel like Emperor Palpatine. It is absolutely incredible. Your hands for your super turn into Palpatine. You're flying around. You're burning stuff. The damage is spectacular. The electrocute melee ability extends range, recharges your super grenades and melee energy. Offensive damage juggernaut. Casting Storm Trance fires a bolt of light in the ground, create a shockwave underneath you. So casting it's going to do some AoE damage. Your Rift charges faster when allies are near it. So if you wanted to go full damage on this spec, you get your increased weapon damage. People sit in it. You are going to be burning down enemies. Awesome, awesome, awesome. And your Rift grants you and or your allies that use it Arc Soul to aid in battle. Essentially, they're shooting out little things. So your Rift becomes extremely, extremely powerful. Your super is incredibly powerful. I mean, this thing is awesome, right? And the other spec up here, the top one, is really just like AoE, right? Chain lightning. So if you're meleeing, it's going to burn down a bunch of mobs. When casting a full grenade melee, Storm Trance lasts longer and fully restores health. So if you have both your cooldowns up, you cast this when you're in trouble, boom, it's a heal to full. Or AoE damage from your grenades, which is really nice for clearing out trash mobs. And then you get to activate a teleport or blink. So I don't think that is as valuable for the way I play. I just go burn the house down, a little bit of group utility with my Rift, put that weapon damage Rift on, and I'm telling you, this sucker is fun. I don't like the way it looks. I look dorky with the little robe. I wish I could have my Titan look in a Warlock's body, but hey, you can't have it all. Last but certainly not least is the Hunter, my least favorite, but I know all you sneaky, stealthy people will absolutely love this class, kind of like the Nightblade in Elder Scrolls Online. 3 unique, interesting subclasses, and I will warn new players or people like me that suck at shooting. This is a hard class to play. It's really, beneficial to be good at shooting headshots. If you are, it's actually spectacular damage. So I want to go over ARCSTRIDER first, and the basic premise still: you get a melee ability, an active ability, and a grenade. Plus your super is Darth Maul, pull out kind of lightsaber thing and nuke people down. It's spectacular single target AoE damage, though it does suffer from range. If the mob is up in the air, you have to jump, waste time, so on. So you got the 2 choices here in the class. Now your static ability allows you to dodge, evasive or move, basically just get away. It's a dodge. And you can only do it once in a while, so it's not like infinite dodge things. You can either automatically reload or recharges your melee ability. So those are 2 important things. Obviously damage, and melee ability might be a little more offense, might be a little more defense. So really good choices. The dodge to reload, I've used this in combination with weapons that have high ammo capacity that take a long time to reload for increased damage and sustain, like this. Your grenades are this typical choice: multiple projectiles, something that chains and then also attaches to enemies. The jump is awesome. You get a triple jump, so by far my favorite way to jump on this guy. The Way of the Warrior is the spec that I play the most because killing an enemy with the melee ability triggers health regeneration and increases your damage temporarily. So if you want to just run in there and melee everything, it's pretty easy for people that can't shoot like me. Melee kills also recharge your dodge, so you can use that offensively or defensively. So the reason I stick with recharges your melee ability, and this is mainly for the healing, since I'm not very good at shooting. Dodging increases your melee range, so after you dodge, you can lunge further just for a couple seconds, but this would be really unique in PvP to get that extra kill instead of trading a kill. After dodge, each arc staff hits create a damage lightning aftershock, so you can dodge while you're in there, but it's not exactly as offensively powerful, but it is good for defense if you suck at shooting. Next one up Way of the Wind. Strike an enemy with melee ability, disorient the target and nearby enemies. This is really fantastic disorient for PvP, right? I mean, if you hit someone, they're having trouble shooting, but they can still melee, so it's not exactly the optimal, but it has some good PvP advantages. Sprinting recharges your dodge ability, increasing your max sprint speed. Speed is powerful in PvP or in PvE. When critically wounded, melee and grenades recharge dramatically faster. Now that's interesting because grenades more damage, but I don't like this spec because I just don't value always being really low on health. I'd rather stay high health and know my grenades are going to come off cooldown. You are hard to kill while dodging. So as you can see, this is the high mobility spec, which I would imagine in PvP is really good with reflexive players. I'm not, so I don't play it very often. The Gunslinger class, I go with Way of the Outlaw, and we'll take a look at this. Has the same basic mechanics. So your super is basically a gun, right? And this is where aiming comes in incredibly valuable. If you can aim really, really well, this golden gun super is spectacular in terms of damage. I can't aim well, so that's why I'm not really fond of this spec. So I go with the Way of the Outlaw, which allows me to throw a knife from a distance that explodes shortly after. So it's basically a ranged melee ability, and in PvE, PvP, you can one-shot a lot of things, but it's also dependent on how good you're aiming. Precision kills, so headshots that kill something, increases your reload speed for you and your nearby allies. So this is the really nice group utility. Reload speed equals more damage, right? So nearby allies is a big boon to your team. Deadshot and significantly improves your ability to hit with the golden gun. I need all the help I can get in accuracy, so I take that. And then it extends the damage. So golden gun can be fired up to 6 times quickly. So it has a shorter duration, but if you're like wanting to burn down a boss, boom, 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 and you can get them headshots, then precision kills, it's really going to help your team out. This tray here, Way of the Sharpshooter, just like it sounds. If you're really good at shooting, it's incredible. So throwing a knife from a distance, just like above, but if you get precision kills, immediately refreshes it. So incredible for people that can do headshots. Enter a trance with each precision hit, not kill, reducing the cooldown of your super. Wow. So if you're a headshot maniac guy, this is incredible. You can combine that with the dodge to recharge your melee even faster, throwing the knife, getting that recharge. It's a powerhouse. Each precision damage with the golden gun generates orbs. So there's your group utility. You're getting headshots with the golden gun, you're helping your team out by getting them supers faster. And then precision hit with the golden gun increases its damage and extends its duration. So if you can shoot really well, this is spectacular. Though I don't, so that's why I don't go into this tree. I saw it and I'm like, okay, I suck at headshots on the PlayStation, but you can see the potential damage here. My favorite of the subclass, and what I will probably play permanently on this guy, is NIGHTSTALKER. So the reason I like NIGHTSTALKER is the shadow shot. Tethers foes to a void anchor, slowing, weakening, and suppressing them for you and your allies. It's kind of like an AoE slow and damage buff. So that's why I really, really like this spec, because I feel like I can contribute to the group regardless if I shoot well or not. So I play Way of the Pathfinder because I find it the more group-centered, since the smoke bomb, the melee ability, creates a smoke cloud that you and your allies can get in. So it's basically a get out of jail free card for you and your allies. I like that. Grenade effects last twice as long. So the reason that's good is I like the sustained damage with Vortex Grenade. So it's just damage over time, lasts a long time. So it gives me good solid damage when my grenades are up. And here's where the big time utility comes in. Killing tethered enemies creates orbs of light, increasing mobility, recovery, and resistance for you and your nearby allies. So if you shoot your little shadow shot and you start nuking people, like maybe shoot it, throw a grenade in there, kill a bunch of people, you're going to be generating supers for your team. It's really advantageous for group style play, and I love that aspect of the class. Now you can fire the shadow shot multiple times in rapid succession, dealing massive damage against tethered enemies. So now this thing makes the shadow shot really, really impressive. It's all centered around that super. So if you're really good with it, you can really help out your team. So I suck at shooting, but I tell you what, NIGHTSTALKER makes me feel like I'm contributing to the team. Well, gang, that is it for class overview, class guide for Destiny 2. Hopefully this gives you some insight in how to play it, what you should pick, and maybe save you some time if you're a new player and or jumping in on PC in October like I will be. Thank you so much for watching, and please, if you like this, please subscribe, like, share, and then also leave me a comment on what specific guides you would like to see so I can help out the community more. I really appreciate you watching. Thanks.